Okay, so I think I am live. Hello to anybody that's there watching. Okay, let's see. It's going to be more than the shot there. There we go. All right. All right. All right, if you are there, just go ahead and say something in the chat. All right, see 3 of you there. Thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you. Hope you guys can hear me okay. All right. Okay. 5 of you now. Awesome. Outstanding. Okay. Perfect. So let's get the stream underway here. Moment. Have the housekeeping to do here real quick. And there we go. All right. Okay. Go ahead and all right. Just making sure that we are good. Looks like we are live. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you all for joining the stream. Appreciate you. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Glad you guys can hear me loud and clear. Fantastic. Okay, so can go ahead and get the show on the road here. Okay. So it looks like a lot of Toku news came out in the last week, as we saw. You know, finally, the reveal of what Kamen Rider Geo, I believe is how it's pronounced. We finally got a look to see how he's going to look like with the clock face. And we also had news about the Zeo crystals, the Legacy Zeo crystals being canceled by Bandai of America, which is also one of the first of apparently many things that they're going to be canceling here in the upcoming months, which of course was to be expected, as we all know, now that Hasbro's got a hold of the Master Toy license. So no big surprise there. It is what it is. But hopefully they won't be canceling anything too cool. What are my thoughts on Lupat X? No thoughts on it yet, because I have not seen Lupin Ranger at all. So no thoughts just yet. Do I think that Hasbro would do the Zeo crystals? Possibly. I see that with Hasbro, they're going to have a golden opportunity to kind of go ahead and pick up where Bandai of America is leaving off on any of the things that people were really looking forward to. It would be a good opportunity. Excuse me. It would be a good opportunity for them to go ahead and pick up where Bandai of America is leaving off. So I would think that it would be in their best interest to go ahead and try as best they can to get the things that fans really want to see the most. Now, I'm not sure if the Zeo crystals are topping that list there. I've seen kind of mixed things. Some people really didn't care. Other people would have loved to have seen a Legacy Zeo crystal set come out. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends on fan demand. But I know there's a lot of other things that people still want to see. So it would be good on – it would be beneficial to Hasbro to go ahead and kind of fill that void that Bandai of America is leaving behind for the things that people really wanted to see. So, okay. Have you seen a show called Armor Heroes on YouTube? No, I have not, but I will definitely check it out. I'm assuming it's a tokusatsu show. Yeah, the Stan Lee situation, that is an unfortunate one. That's actually one that, if you guys want to know a little bit more about that particular situation with the elder abuse that was going on with him and his I believe his business manager, the guy that was like setting up all his convention appearances, and he was also, I believe, setting up his convention appearances, signings, was handling a lot of his recent business, and I believe he had been his business manager. I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe he was his business manager since February of this year, and just goes to show you. I mean, people, even when they, this guy probably came to him with the best of intentions, but ended up leaving with, ended up being just another person in a long list of people that have unfortunately taken advantage of Stan Lee, which kind of sucks. Because, I mean, look, the dude is he's 95 years old. He's just trying to live out the rest of his life. He just wants to be at peace at this point. So, at the very least, just let the man be comfortable. Let him live out the rest of his days in comfort. Okay, first time joining TBH stream. Hey, thank you. Thank you for that, Nick. I appreciate you joining the stream. I hope you'll be checking more of them out in the near future here. So I do these every once in a while, but I'll be doing these streams a lot more often for you guys so we can interact a bit more, asking questions and, and asking and answering questions and stuff like that. So you find it odd that there's a Gold Ranger Zeonizer. The Gold Ranger Zeonizer is being released when the Gold Ranger didn't have Zeonizer on the show. Yes, I do. It's definitely something that I do find to be a little bit interesting because he didn't have a Zeonizer at all, and I don't believe he had one in the Super Sentai series. Well, no, did he? I can't remember if he did or didn't in the Super Sentai series because I haven't seen O Ranger, but I don't remember in the footage I saw where he transformed. I don't recall seeing a morpher for him either, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, as far as Power Rangers go, yeah, that's true. He did not have a Zeonizer, but they are releasing one. But yeah, it is what it is. Hey, gotta sell those toys. Bandai might as well, though, right? I mean, they're kind of on their last leg here, so they might as well make out with as much money as they can. So it is what it is. I mean, it's to be expected. So let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, one thing I hadn't talked about or made a video about was the fact that Ultraman is also getting its own anime series. It's going to be CGI. It's going to be on Netflix apparently sometime next year. So haven't really given my thoughts on that, but I guess I might as well give my thoughts on it now. I know that it's based on the manga that had come out a couple years back that I've heard pretty good things about, but haven't read it myself. Definitely want to. I think the design is pretty cool. I like the way the design looks, but I'm not too keen on when Japanese do anime that is CGI. I mean, most of it's usually not very good. I haven't found one anime CGI movie that I can say that I particularly like. I mean, the only one that I thought that was kind of semi-decent that I've seen in probably the last couple of years was the Captain Harlock movie. And overall, I didn't really care for that movie. I thought the movie was not that good. But I know other people have a better opinion on it. No, Nick M, it's not going to be, it's going to be, I forget, I don't know what it's going to be called, but I know it's coming to Netflix. It's going to be, the series is going to be coming out on Netflix. What are your thoughts on Power Rangers Beast Morphers? I think that Beast Morphers is a great series for Hasbro to start off with. I mean, considering that a lot of the weapons that they had in Go Busters were transformable, I think that that's like the perfect fit for Hasbro to start off with Beast Morphers because, they're so good already at. And see, I'm really interested to see not only how Hasbro is going to handle the weapons and such, but how they're going to handle the Zords themselves. I mean, these guys are, they're the ones that put Transformers on the map. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to handle the Zord aspect of the toys. That's something that I'm really interested in seeing, and I'm wondering if maybe they're going to do anything in the future where I'm pretty sure it's pretty it opens the possibility that they could potentially do like at least on the toy front they could do a Power Rangers Transformers crossover where maybe they'll make it that could you imagine like a Zord that could combine with Optimus Prime or something to become an even bigger robot? I mean, the possibilities are endless now that Hasbro has the toy license. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, Lewis says, I'm looking forward to Geo and the way how he's going to use time to transform into past riders. So it's going to be decade if done right. Yeah, I mean, it could be potentially another decade type of situation. The good thing about a time traveling Kamen Rider is that it does give him longevity from a story standpoint. You could always find any and every excuse to bring him back, because no matter what, they'll find a way to make his story in whatever situation he's in relevant. So that's the cool thing about Decade, that's one thing that I always liked about Decade. That's why when you've seen in some of these past movies that Decade has shown up in, it makes sense why he's there, because he's kind of a traveling Kamen Rider. He has no real limitations like some of these other riders do. The fact that he could travel through to different alternate realities makes the ability to tell stories with them pretty endless. I mean, so they could do the same thing with Kamen Rider Geo. They could end up finding a lot of different reasons to bring him back in later movies or anniversary movies. I mean, it'll all make sense if he plays a big part in those movies. So, do you think they'll do a crossover with Dino Charge and Beast Morphers? It's possible, but I don't know. I don't know if because they've never see the thing about Hasbro is that we have so many unknowns now with Hasbro, right? We don't know if they'll be willing to do something like that where they'll go back and do a crossover of a past season. You know what I mean? They could, and I think they should. They should totally take advantage of the fact that they now have the license to make the show here in America and do things like that, because I think that's something that people will appreciate. And the thing is, it would be okay to do because Dino Charge is not that old, so they can potentially do that. Have you seen Max Steel 2000 CGI series? I had Phase 1 and 2 toy line with controversial Urban Siege Pack with a card that set up a terrorist plot. Actually, no, I have not. I have not seen the Max Steel CGI series. I know what Max Steel is, though, but I'm familiar with the toy line, but I'm not too familiar with Max Steel outside of that. But that's pretty interesting. A card to set up a terrorist plot. I can only imagine what parents might have thought of that. What I like about the Super Sentai anniversary specials, well, it's always fun to see a current and past team work together. If done right. I mean, overall, I guess what I like is what everybody else likes, is seeing how certain characters from a previous season interact with the newer ones. Some of them, they play well off each other. Some of the team ups haven't been too good. It's one of those things. It's just like with Go-Sager and Go-Kaiger. Obviously, Go-Sager, I haven't seen Go-Sager or Go-Kaiger, but from seeing people's reaction to it, a lot of people did not like Go-Sager. But the team up with Go-Kaiger was okay, but it was good because of Go-Kaiger, not because of Go-Sager. So it all depends. How those two fit together. So. Yeah, one thing I'm really looking forward to, though, with the upcoming season of Kamen Rider Geo is I don't know if a lot of you saw that video, but with the article that I posted from Diffusion, one of the forms is Kamen Rider Black and Kamen Rider Black RX, which Kamen Rider Black is my all-time favorite Kamen Rider. So I love the fact that he's one of the ones that Kamen Rider Geo will be able to transform into, and not just Black, but Black RX. So, be able to go to this time frame or whatever. But that's really cool. That's one that I'll be looking forward to a lot, and seeing if we could potentially see Kotaro come back in one of those episodes, like he kind of did in Decade. They may or may not change it. They might leave it in just for the fun of it. They could totally leave it in for the fun of it, because you could clearly hear it saying it's morphin time. So they could leave it in just for fan service. But there's a good possibility that they'll change it. But if I was them, I would leave it just for the nostalgia and just to have kind of a little bit of an Easter egg and just a little bit of fan service for the Tokusatsu fans. Geo, I don't know if it's gonna be like Decade, but I hope to a degree it'll kind of be like Decade. I hope it'll have it'll, because remember with Decade, what he was doing, he wasn't traveling through time. He was traveling through different alternate realities. And that's something for, I don't know why people didn't really care for, but it was kind of cool to see a different take of writers from previous Heisei, in these different kind of, that were even different characters to a degree, or a mixture of characters from those seasons. So the real question is, what do you think of past? Okay. What is your next Henshin time video? That is being worked on at the moment, so I don't have an ETA on that yet because I have to do a couple more things regarding that episode. But once I have an ETA on that, or once it's done, I'll do like I always do. I'll put a trailer up so you guys will know. But it'll definitely be out this year. Barring anything happening. So hopefully, I'll have it done relatively soon. Now, the real question is, what's the point of the Gold Zeonizer having the main 5-0 Rangers voice in it? That is a good question. That is a very good question. It should have just Austin St. John's voice in it. That doesn't really make sense for it to have the other Rangers voices. So that's kind of weird if it does. But I guess maybe they figured that was an added bonus, just to have the other 5 Rangers. I think the Fast Rangers returning in Super Ninja Steel. The way I feel about Past Rangers returning in Ninja Steel is they can't really do any worse than the legendary battle. So, if we use that as kind of the bar, I mean, I don't think they can really go any lower. I mean, but then again, I don't want to jinx it. Maybe they can. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how they are presented. Will it change with these? I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure Geo's suit will change to kind of reflect the writer that he's transforming into. At the very least, maybe, if not in the face, at least in some part of the costume, it'll reflect, whether it be the color scheme or something. I'm pretty sure it'll have something that is at least inspired by whatever form he's changing into. So that's one thing that I'm looking forward to with Geo. So do you think the Powers will still be 20 episodes? I don't know. See, I think for the time being, Ram Jam, it's going to stay within that 20 episode format. It's going to stay in that 20 episode format at least until 2021, because unfortunately, prior to Saban Brands selling it over to Hasbro, they had already signed that contract with Nickelodeon for it to be there until 2021. So at least until then, it's going to be in that 20 episode format. Now, whether or not they'll go back to the 40 episode format or not, that's something completely up to Hasbro. I just hope that if they're going to be doing that 20 episode format till then, that they're not going to take so much time in between seasons. Or I should say, so much time in the mid-season breaks, because the mid-season breaks, I believe, it's just my theory, but I believe that that's what's been harming the show more than anything else, because after 9 episodes, they take, a 4 to 5 month hiatus, which is ridiculous for a mid-season break. Other shows do not take mid-season breaks that long. At most shows, most standard hit TV shows will only take a mid-season break of maybe of a month or just a little bit over a month. It's very rare to see a mid-season break in a show that lasts more than 2 months. They're usually about a month at most, maybe a little bit over a month, and that's usually about it. It's usually under 2 months, and then they come back to TV. Power Rangers, unfortunately, is like 4 to 5 months that they take in between the mid-season, which is ridiculous. No kid is really, that's not going to, kids forget about the show. you're not going to be able to show clips from the show anymore in Henshin Time. Well, I never show clips of Power Rangers in Henshin Time. And the reason for that is because of the Saban Power Rangers channel. They like to, I'm sure maybe a lot of you may or may not know a channel, a friend of mine, Mr. Weenie Productions. He made a lot of Power Rangers videos, and a lot of them didn't even have any kind of footage in them. But a lot of his videos got they got claimed by the Saban Power Rangers channel, and a lot of them didn't even have Power Rangers footage in them. They just had like pictures in them, and they got claimed. And really, they shouldn't have even been claimed for that, because they were fair use, but they still ended up getting claimed. I'm kind of going through something similar right now. It's not something that I actually was going to talk about publicly, but I guess I will, since it's kind of sort of brought up. And I'll probably be making a video about it later on at some point to explain a little bit more. But one of my parts of Henshin Time, actually, I believe it's part 2, was actually claimed by the Saban Power Rangers channel, which is kind of odd to me, because I thought that they had stopped doing that. And especially now that they don't even own the rights to the show anymore, there shouldn't be anybody still claiming videos anymore. It's kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to try to fight it, but I'm going to make another video and kind of explain a little bit more what I plan to do with that. So we'll see what happens there. The cat's coming back for Super Ninja Steel. Cat from MMPR Season 3. Have you seen Garo Season 1 Blu-rays? No, I haven't. Well, I've seen Season 1, but I haven't seen like the HD version of Season 1 of Garo. But I have seen the complete Garo Season 1. I kind of stopped midway through Season 2. I haven't had the time to finish it up, but I love Garo. Garo is great. For those of you that want to see some adult tokusatsu, you know, some gritty, dark adult tokusatsu, watch Garo. Garo is fantastic. Absolutely love Garo. Yeah, the season break is way too long. What did you like when Power Rangers Dino Thunder won? I'm not sure what you mean there, cool guy, about Dino Thunder. Or are you asking me if I'm ever going to cover Dino Thunder in Henshin Time? I'm not. Or are you talking about Aba Ranger, the Super Sentai version of Dino Thunder? What are my predictions for the second half of Super Ninja Steel? Hopefully that it'll be better than the first season, because I haven't heard good things about the first season. I heard that a lot of people are turned off to the writing in the first season, and the characters are not all that appealing. So I would hope that they'll have better character development and better story writing for the second season, would be my hope, to keep people's interest. So Amak, that's a very good possibility. We could end up finally seeing that Jew Ranger, Aba Ranger, and yeah, we could end up seeing that crossover with Corey Uger. Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, look, that's the one beautiful thing about Hasbro. Hasbro might be willing to take. Well, it looks to me like Hasbro is already willing to take more risk than Saban Brands. I mean, think about what they're doing. They're going back to a show that is 6 years old at this point, you know, and that's their debut season, is a show that's already 6 years old. So I mean, they're already starting out. They're just storming out of the gate, taking a risk already. So I think it's definitely possible. It definitely is possible that they could go back and we could see all the things that we were hoping we'd see from Saban Brands. We could actually see them come into fruition with Hasbro. So I don't know if PR moved to the Discovery Channel or Netflix. I think Netflix is a much more viable option for Power Rangers at this point, because a lot of kids have they've pretty much have had their fill on Netflix. So it's definitely viable for Netflix audience, I think. Oh, so she's going to be Zeo Pink. That's awesome. That's great. Kat is a really nice person. For any of you that have not if you all ever see her at a show, she's really nice, very sweet person in real life. Catherine Sutherland, who portrays Kat in Power Rangers, very nice person. Terrell, I actually don't think that Operation Overdrive is the most disappointing season in the history of the franchise. I don't. I know a lot of people think otherwise. I haven't seen Megaforce or Super Megaforce, but I've heard now that seems to be a lot of people's gripe in terms of the overall worst season. A lot of the older fans now believe that Megaforce and Super Megaforce is quite possibly the worst season, that it even is worse than Operation Overdrive. I saw Operation Overdrive some years back when it first got put on Netflix. And although I can see why a lot of people don't like it, I don't think it's as bad as people think it is. So I don't think it's the worst. I mean, me personally, the most disappointing season was Turbo. The second half of Turbo got a little bit better, but it was one of those cases of too little, too late, where it started to finally, pick up and actually be pretty good, especially with that ending. It was too little, too late. But the good thing about that ending of Turbo is that it kind of sets the table for Power Rangers in space. So that's one thing I will give Turbo. Those last couple episodes of Turbo is that they really do kind of set the table for in space. So anime Go Shogun, which was adapted as Macron one. So Go Shogun, no, I don't think I've never seen that. I don't think I've ever even heard of that. I would have to look into it. Tokusatsu on Toonami Adult Swim. It's possible, man. I mean, as long as some of these streaming sites keep bringing Tokusatsu on and making it available to an American audience, there's a good chance that it'll catch on and become mainstream. It's not there yet. It's still a ways, because there's still this kind of stigma attached to Tokusatsu that people look at it and they think, oh, that's like Power Rangers. I'm too old for that. I'm too old for Power Rangers. I mean, I don't want to see something that's Power Rangers because that's for little kids. So there's still that stigma in the adult audience attached to that. And that's why I don't think that Tokusatsu will be mainstream. It's still going to take a little bit more time, but eventually I believe it will be. Eventually I believe it'll get to that point where people will see it as something a little bit more serious, and it won't have that kind of stigma attached to it. So that they won't think that it's something cheesy and campy. So I think it's only a matter of time, especially if somebody watches a show like, especially if they end up bringing over shows like Garo, or shows like Kamen Rider Amazons, which are really geared at that older teen to adult audience. If they can get some of those over here and readily accessible, and I believe Kamen Rider Amazons, I believe somebody had said that it was on it's on Amazon Prime now here in America as well. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't been able to verify that for myself, but my understanding is that it is. But as long as people, like I said, as long as an American audience starts getting access to those things, you're going to see that it's going to shift people. People are going to be like, oh, dang, I thought this was for kids. They're going to be like, this is kind of cool, So is Kamen Rider Geo versus Zeo, the new Yanni and Laurel. Am I right? Maybe. You might be right about that. Oh, absolutely, Terrell. Yeah, there's definitely, I don't see how a Power Rangers Transformers crossover doesn't happen. I mean, that to me is like, that's inevitable. There has to be a Power Rangers Transformers crossover. It would be foolish not to. I mean, Hasbro has the license for both these properties now. They'd be foolish not to. I mean, that's they're printing money right there with that, especially like in the comics. Once they get around to doing that in the comics too, like Boom Studios has the license for the comic now, but at some point I could see it going to IDW just for the sole reason of having it crossover with Transformers and maybe some of their other properties. So I think that's inevitable. So like I said, they're going to want to be printing money. What do you think of Lupin Ranger versus Patrol Ranger? I haven't seen it yet, but I definitely want to see it because it does look unique, and I keep hearing a lot of good things about it. So a lot of people like that season. I don't think I've heard so many consistently positive things about a show since Lupin versus Pat. So um, it's definitely one I want to check out. Would I like Legacy line for Super Sentai? Well, Super Sentai, I believe, has its own kind of legacy line. I believe it's called the Artisan line, and I believe they've already kind of released a couple things that I would want from there. Somebody could mistake me if I'm wrong, but I think that they were even going to make the aura changers as part of the Artisan line for Japan, but I could be wrong about that. I thought I had seen something about that, which is what I would want to own from that Artisan line from Japan is the aura changer from Die Ranger, because I absolutely love Die Rangers. It's one of my favorites. It's right up there with Jetman for me. I would still put Jetman above Die Ranger just because Jetman just overall was much more of an engaging story, and I was much more into Jetman than Die Ranger. Like Jetman had me kind of like I needed to know what was going to happen next all the time, whereas Die Ranger, it was good, I was into it, but it wasn't the same kind of feeling where it's just like I have to watch the next episode like right now. Like I burned through Jetman like that. So I'm happy about the fact that Jetman's getting an American DVD release. It definitely is. It's worth picking up if y'all are into the Super Sentai shows that have come out so far. Definitely get Jetman when it's released. You will not be sorry. Who's your favorite Tokusatsu heroes finishers? There's a couple of them actually. One of my favorite finishers. If I had to pick, it would probably be the way that Faiz. No, you know what? No, not Faiz. It was actually my favorite. I know they're all the same at the end of the day, but I actually like Kamen Rider Kuga's rider kick, because it was so like exaggerated, like, you know what I mean? Especially like once he started doing it in his Rising Mighty form, where it's just like he leveled like a city doing it. So that would probably be it. I also like Metalder's his little like laser arm thing that he would do. That's another one of my favorites. Dano Charge. It has the opposite problem Turbo had. Interesting. Okay. The 2019 said that. It's gonna be interesting to see, what the next season is after Lupin versus Pat. So. Yes, well, Superhero Time would have to, if they did something akin to a Superhero Time like they do in Japan, they would have to do that on a Saturday. It just wouldn't work on a Sunday. Saturday would be the absolute best day for them to do something like that. If they did something like a Tokusatsu time block, it would work best on a Saturday morning. I mean, if they should definitely take the chance on Kamen Rider, I think, because that's just more money. That's more money for them. But I think it's definitely possible. Go Shogun is one that Saban adapted back in the 80s. I'll have to check it out. The TokuTube, the broadcast is suspended. Well, that sucks. You got the ABC canceled Inhumans after one season due to low ratings. Do you think that Marvel will ever bounce back in the TV department? Man, I haven't seen Inhumans, but I remember seeing the trailer for Inhumans, and it did not appeal to me at all. Like, there was nothing in the trailer that made me think that nothing attracted me to it for me to watch it. So I'm not surprised, because even my dad, he watches a lot of the Marvel shows. He loves a lot of the Marvel shows, and he wasn't into it either. He thought it was not a good series. He said it was relatively boring and bland. So I'm not surprised. But I think they'll bounce back at some point. I mean, they're doing good on the Netflix shows. They're doing all right. Those are where their strength lies right now, because they don't have the restrictions that they do like they do on ABC. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still okay, but it's definitely lost its momentum. So I'm hoping they could bounce back because Agents of Shield I did like. I thought Agents of Shield was one of the better shows that they were doing, and it's kind of had its ups and downs. This last season was okay. I think the last season of Agents of Shield was only slightly. It had its good points and its bad points, but it was kind of a overall. It was a very lackluster season, but hopefully they could bring it back. Hopefully they can bounce back, like you said. So I don't think that Power Rangers is going to cross over with anything Michael Bay related. I think if anything, they'll do they'll do something for either kids TV or they'll do something on a little bit of a bigger scale, but not anything Michael Bay related. I think they'll keep those separate, those universes separate. They might hint towards the fact that if they continue doing the Transformers movies, they might hint towards the fact that the Power Rangers takes place in that same universe, just to kind of like keep that option open, so that potentially they could end up doing a crossover in sometime in the future and maybe have their own version of Infinity War or something. But that won't be anytime soon. That would take years. They would have to do it right. So I haven't seen Kamen Rider X8 or Build. Favorite PR character played by Kelson Henderson. I don't know who Kelson Henderson is. Is that one of the voice actors? You have to clarify that for me. What network do you think the Power Rangers will be on next year? Nick Discovery, Family. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, next year they're still going to be on Nickelodeon. The Nickelodeon deal doesn't end until 2021. So that's not happening anytime soon. Let's see. Super Ninja Steel, let's hope. We really hope it'll be better. I haven't seen the Shattered Grid trailer yet, but I hope to. Yeah, they haven't been able to get Kuga's actor to come back and anything yet that I've seen. I hope he does, though. I really like Kuga. Is my favorite Heisei era writer. That's too bad if he isn't a fan of Tokusatsu. All right, let me see. Who do I think is the most successful Power Rangers actress ever? Honestly speaking, it would probably have to be Amy Jo Johnson, because she actually went on to do more projects than the rest of them. So as far as from an acting standpoint, probably Amy Jo. Amy Jo is probably the most successful actress to come from that show, because she's done other things. But then again, you know what? Some of the more recent ones have been pretty successful too. I mean, if you look at, I think Eka Darville is in that conversation too, even though he's not as well known as Amy Jo. In terms of, if we're just looking at, not in terms of recognizable, if in terms of them being of recognition, of people being able to recognize them as a pop cultural figure, I would definitely say Amy Jo in terms of that, and in terms of she was able to do more outside of just Power Rangers. She was able to do televisions. She's done her own movies and things like that. In terms of probably consistent, I guess, acting work, it could be Eka Darville. He from Power Rangers RPM played Red Ranger, because he's got a regular role now on Jessica Jones. So there's a lot of people that are, as I believe his character is Malcolm in that. So a lot of people are going to recognize him from that as well. And who knows what other doors are going to be open for him because of that. And I believe he was also in another show that was on HBO prior to that. So, okay. Well, I think that Saban still owns the Kamen Rider license, but I'm not exactly sure. Well, no, not anymore. If they did, that would have gone over to Hasbro now. So Hasbro would have it. Let's see. All right, I'm trying to get to all your questions here, so just be a little patient with me, guys. I'll catch up here. um, all right. I never watched Bokenju versus Super Sentai. Have yet to. English dubbed Kamen Rider wouldn't be bad. I mean, just depending on who they get to do the dubbing. So, all right. Okay. Oh yeah, they are happily married, from what I understand. They do a lot of conventions together. Well, I already did Carlos. I already did a part about Haim Saban. It's actually called Haim Saban and Bioman. I believe it's part 4 or 5 in my series where I talk about Haim Saban. So there was some. Well, hopefully he'll return for the 25th anniversary special. We'll see. Um, a YouTuber to play a character in Power Rangers. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of YouTubers that would jump at that chance. So Gawandra getting a 10-year special. I think it's cool. I think them doing these 10-year specials is a nice way to remind people of some of these past seasons to kind of keep them a little bit relevant, I guess, in the mind of fans so that they could bring them back a little bit more often. So I think it's a good move, honestly. So let's see. Any new guest announcements for the next part of Henshin Time? Well, I can tell you guys this. The only ones that will probably, I believe Steve Cardenas, and Johnny will be in the next part. If I remember correctly from the footage. So. Why O's? Why? I have not seen Rick and Morty. I've heard a lot of. I think I've seen it kind of in passing, but I don't really know anything about it. I did not know that about Sarah Brown, but I do know that Sarah Brown did marry one of the producers of Power Rangers, which is Shuki Levy. They actually were married for a little bit, or I'm not sure if they were married, but I know they had a child together. So, are you going to MetroCon? Unfortunately, I will not be going to MetroCon this year. I just have way too much going on. I mean, I used to go to MetroCon pretty often. I haven't been there in a couple years at this point, but I hopefully one day I'll return to MetroCon. Any plans? Yeah, I definitely have plans to make Henshin Time Part 10. Okay. Yep, there's going to be a Part 10. Don't worry. Don't have an exact release date on that just yet, Dragon's Aaron. On them introducing the new teams in the movie crossovers, I mean, it's a good opportunity. I mean, it's a good way to promote, to get people excited. I think that when Toei does that, they're on the right track. They got Super Sentai down to a science now, so they know exactly what they're doing. It's genius on their part to do that, to kind of give people a little bit of a taste of what they can expect for the next season. Why did I never get JDF? Surprisingly, I had reached out to JDF to be in it, but never got any kind of response. That's the truth. And that's, it is what it is. He's a busy guy. He does a lot of conventions. Like he's like doing a convention like once or twice a month now at this point. Like the dude is all over the place. So with the other interviews I've been able to get have been more because of timing, because a lot of them have come to Ranger Stop. And I've been able to get a lot of the interviews with a lot of the guests that have been on there because of my association with Ranger Stop. So, and because of, the timing. So, but yeah, I did reach out to him before. It's just never happened. Go Ranger reunion. I'm pretty sure if they haven't passed by then, if not, because there's only 4 of them left. So if they haven't all passed away by then, yeah, maybe. Hasbro could potentially get a hold of some Metal Hero shows. I guess we'll wait and see. I would love to see some Metal Heroes. I would love to see some newer, some newer Metal Hero shows from Toei. No, I don't hate JDF. I don't hate JDF. The reason I had Austin is because Austin was there. He had it was just timing. I mean, to me it's just, it doesn't, I want anybody who wants to be a part of the project to be there, or that have the time to be there. So there's no way for me to, I can't really, there's nothing I could do if I can't get that person, if that person doesn't have the time, or, doesn't get back to me, or it just doesn't pan out. That's all there is to it. You know what I mean? That's really what it boils down to. So, because I want as many people, I want as many of the actors that want to be involved in it and have the time to be involved in it to be a part of it. But if they don't have the time and they can't, it is what it is, I think Power Rangers can do the same. Choose the next team. They could, but I don't know. I think that they would rather. I mean, Saban Brands had their own way of doing things, so I mean, I don't see, why they wouldn't take the opportunity to do it though. V3 had stomach cancer. It's horrible. Yeah, I had heard something about that too. He has been doing some Christian-based films, which is pretty cool. He had worked on one. I believe he worked on one with John Schneider, the guy who was in one of the guys that was in Dukes of Hazzard. He also played Jonathan Kent in Smallville. Like, he does a lot of Christian-based films, and I know that Austin did one with him. So I don't know if he's done more than that, but I know he did one with John Schneider. So if I had a chance to be on Power Rangers, would I do it? I mean, depending on what kind of role or what would be expected of me. I mean, I think anybody would jump at the chance. Anybody. I think most fans, especially that grew up watching the show, would jump at that chance. So, maybe, yeah, probably. Miami Vice reboot or revival? Well, I mean, they tried that a couple years ago. I haven't seen the movie with Jamie Foxx and what's his name, Colin Farrell. So I mean, I guess it wasn't all that successful because there was never a sequel to it. So. A ninja-themed Kamen Rider? Oh, absolutely. There's no reason for them not to. I mean, they definitely have the potential to do it. There's absolutely no reason for them not to do it. I mean, now the good thing with Kamen Rider is, in that sense, is now that they've gotten away from the old show style of just making it more bug-themed, they can definitely theme it however they want. So it's definitely possible that we could see a ninja-themed Kamen Rider in the future. When Lupin versus Pat, that's a tough question because I don't know what kind of theme. I mean, I'm down for whatever Toei wants to do. Whatever Toei thinks is going to work well in the story, we're good. All right, let's see. Any thoughts on the tragic real-life story for Carl Medina, who's currently serving a 6-year sentence for killing his friend with it? Well, I made a video about this. If you want to check it out here on the channel, where I initially talked about it, and initially talked about his release when he was out on bail, and I made no more videos about it after that. But my thoughts on it are, it's unfortunate. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what happened there, obviously, because the only other person that knows is gone. You know, I mean, of course, the girlfriend was there, or I believe I forget whose girlfriend was there. I guess it was Ricardo Medina's girlfriend was there. She and saw what all had happened, but hard to know exactly what happened. I mean, and the thing is, I saw a lot of people post after the fact that he shouldn't have done that. He should have found another way. But it's hard. It's easy for anybody to say that because we weren't in his shoes at that point in time. It's easy for anybody from the outside to have an opinion on that and say, well, I wouldn't have done it that way. But then again, you weren't in his shoes. We don't know exactly what was going on. We don't know how threatened he felt that, he felt he had to grab a sword. I mean, it must have been pretty serious if he felt the need to have to grab a sword to defend himself with. So it's I don't know. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what exactly the right thing here is. I think anybody who feels that their life is threatened would respond in kind. Anybody that feels that their life is in danger, I would think, would feel that their self-preservation is going to kick in. And if they feel that it's going to be, look, it's either me or them, I think anybody in that position with that amount of stress and things going on would probably think it's all right. If it's me or him, I choose me. So I think anybody would have probably reacted, possibly similar, but who knows? Who knows what the right answer is? Who knows? Maybe he could have subdued him. Who knows? It's like I said, none of us were there. We don't know for sure. We don't know all the circumstances behind what went down. Exactly. All we'll ever be able to do is speculation unless Ricardo Medina himself decides to tell that story one day. What's sad about that particular situation is that it's going to stigmatize him for the rest of his life, because now this is going to affect him potentially showing up at conventions. They might not want to have him now because they're going to see that he's formerly a convicted felon. There's going to be people that might not want him at conventions because of this, because they might feel that he's dangerous. So I don't know. I mean, it's just a horrible situation. Just a horrible situation, and I just don't. Unfortunately, no good at all is going to come of it or came from it. The other thing too is the fact that even if he had been, say he had been acquitted of those charges, they probably still would have. People still would have probably wondered about it, and it probably still would have been something that would have followed him. The fact that he was even arrested or involved in a violent situation like that still would have followed him. So, do I know what Space Squad is? I don't. I don't know what Space Squad is. It's possible that they could do a Jacka special. I believe most, if not all, the actors are still alive. So, I loved Kamen Rider Hibiki. He was great. The guy who played Hibiki, he was fantastic. I love Hibiki. Was a great show. One of the more underrated shows, in my opinion. I mean, it had its it started off strong. It kind of finishes not so strong, but I still enjoyed it. Yeah, I've seen all the Back to the Future movies. I love time traveling movies. Yeah, I think it's pretty inevitable that there's going to be a decade and Geo crossover. I can for sure see that. I could see them having a crossover with Deno too. I'm not sure if you guys remember. Deno was actually the first time traveling Kamen Rider. So, would you consider having Samuel Bent at conventions? I mean, he's already done some conventions actually. So, I mean, after a while, I mean, people should forgive and forget. I mean, what happened with him happened at this point. What It's been well over 10 years ago. What happened with him? So maybe possibly. I mean, obviously, he would probably have to write. They'd probably have to write some stipulations in his contract. But I don't see why not. That is a good question, Seth Films. Very good question. I don't know. I mean, the good thing about having somebody like Chip Lin is that he understands the series better than most people. So at the very least, in terms of transitioning over, it would be good for him to be a part of there. But they should definitely get some. They should definitely get some new blood on there as well. Just to kind of help that transition. Have some people with new ideas as well. I think a good mixture of both. But I think Chip being there is going to be good for transitioning. Yeah, I remember that what JDF said about that, but that's why I'm saying it's just like exactly we don't know what he was thinking at that point in time. We don't know why he felt the need. He must have felt that his life was really threatened to have to pick up a weapon to begin with. So that's the thing. I mean, it's easy for anybody to look at it from the outside and say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that." Are you sure? Are you sure? I mean, you didn't have your back to the wall. You didn't know what this guy was doing. We don't know if this other guy was in a fit of rage and had already done something to Ricardo. I mean, to get him to that point. So who knows? Ted Jan Roberts, man, that is a good question. I don't know what happened to Ted Jan Roberts. That dude like fell off the grid. Like I believe he did a couple movies after Masked Rider, but then he just kind of like just fell off the grid completely. I have no idea what he's doing now. I would love to know. I mean, I would love to see him at a show at a convention. Okay, so all right. Oh, the Power Slash Rangers movie. Didn't really care for it all that much. I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was very well made. It's completely over the top, but not the worst thing I've seen. But I didn't overall. I didn't really care for it myself. Space Squad. Okay. Yeah, exactly. They're older actors, so I mean, if they ever found out, I mean, I'm sure eventually. Do I hope he would apologize for what happened? Are you speaking about Ricardo Medina there, Dragon? Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about Linda Hamilton returning as Sarah Connor for the next Terminator movie. It's gonna be interesting. Let's see if she's still physically able to do the things she did in 1992. My guess is probably not, but who knows? Maybe she's in really great shape still. Yeah, Hasbro. The Hasbro team is. I'm sure they're going to do just fine with Power Rangers. They seem to have pretty good writers. So for their kid shows. So thoughts on the Naruto spinoff? I have not seen it yet. Naruto is something that I stopped watching after that first little tournament arc that they had. I got sick of Naruto pretty quick back in the day. So I like My Hero Academy though. My Hero Academy is fantastic. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys need to watch that. It's very good. My Hero Academy is absolutely fantastic. All right, let's see next year. I mean, good. I mean, the best kind of toku shows always are the ones that are dark or the ones that start off kind of lighthearted and then kind of gradually progress to being a little bit darker, like Gaim. Gaim did it perfectly. Gaim started off very kind of slapsticky, and it still kind of remained a little bit goofy and slapsticky throughout its run, but it definitely got more serious as time went on, and it felt like it did a good job of just like working up to those points of seriousness in it. So I think those are the best kind of seasons. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to know. Like I said, hard to know what Rick was thinking. So Garo similar to Final Fantasy? I don't know. I do know that Garo they actually had the I believe the armor available in the Final Fantasy Online game as part of some kind of uh, as part of one of the expansions. I don't know exactly what that entails though because I've never played any of the online Final Fantasy games. So, oh man, that would be great if Tetsuo Kurata returned. This Black is my all-time favorite Kamen Rider, just the best in my opinion. Yes, I did know about Carol Hoyt taking over the role because of Hilary Shepard being pregnant. Yes, I do know about that. I do also know about the Jason David Frank situation, the gentleman that had tried to, I guess, yeah, that had planned on assassinating him. That's unfortunate. Obviously, that dude was not well mentally. So, as far as Hasbro doing a better job producing the Legacy line, that's one of those things we just have to wait and see. It's hard to say right now. I mean, Hasbro are masters; they're toy masters. Obviously, they're the largest toy company in the world right now, by far. So, I would think so, but we'll have to wait and see. Kamen Rider Black is a very dark show. It's a very dark show throughout its whole run. Where it kind of tones down a little bit is actually the following season. Black RX kind of tones down a bit and becomes a little bit more of a light-hearted show. Although it has its moments of being dark. But Kamen Rider Black, the entire run of Kamen Rider Black is completely dark. There's never a point. I mean, it has certain lighthearted things that happen throughout it, but for the most part, there's always this sense of this looming threat in Kamen Rider Black, which I liked a lot. If you guys have not seen Black, that's another show I would highly recommend watching. Kamen Rider Black, if it's obviously a dated show and it hasn't aged well in terms of the visual aspect. I mean, you'll notice how much cheesier things look and how much faker things look. But if you can look past those things and just watch it for the story, it's fantastic. It's a great show. Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, even if that guy didn't like JDF, exactly, and people could, and that's the thing. It's fine if people don't like other people, but exactly, you shouldn't wish or try to do bad things on other bad people. So I think a toku show can definitely have a high quality story complexity without being dark. It's possible. I mean, a lot of people think that Kamen Rider Gaim is a very dark show, and it is to a degree, but I don't think it's as dark as some of the other seasons. Like, there's a lot of people that compared. There's some people that said, that it was as dark as shows like Fies or even Kuga or Agito or not. But I would disagree. It's not as dark as those shows because those shows maintain more of a atmosphere of dread and foreboding than Kamen Rider Gaim does. Kamen Rider Gaim ends on kind of a pretty positive note for the most part, even though there was a lot of dark stuff that happened up until the point that it finally reached that. But so it's definitely possible to do a story that doesn't necessarily have to be dark. How about a Kamen Rider theme about a Western superhero ability like Marvel or DC? Possible to do it, I think. Will the Toei Spider-Man series get a remake? I'm doubtful of that. I sincerely doubt that will ever happen, but hey, who knows? I mean, with the Spider-Verse movie coming out, that's definitely going to pique a lot of people's interest in Toei and the things Toei does. So who knows? Maybe they could team up again. Yeah, RX was definitely much lighter than Black, much lighter, significantly. It was, All right, have a good night, Toku Nerd. Appreciate you joining the stream. Ever watch B Fighter series? I have not seen B Fighter. I've seen Beetleborgs. I remember when it was on TV, but I have not. I have not seen B Fighter. I have met Ruben Langdon though, who was a part of B Fighter Kabuto. He was B Fighter Yama, if I remember correct. Hey, Patty Murphy, what's going on? Yeah, it is way too soon to see if Hasbro can do a better job, but I suspect that they will do a pretty good job. Or at least I hope they do. So. I did not know that about. That's very interesting, Terrell. I did not know that, but I do know of Green Acres. I do remember Green Acres. Do I follow New Japan Pro Wrestling? I don't follow it like I should, but I do know a lot of the. I'm familiar with a lot of the wrestlers that wrestle for New Japan. Yeah, if you get a chance, Lewis, watch Black. Black is fantastic. In Henshin Time Part 10, it's really going to be covering more of the 95 movie, as well as I'll be covering Kaku Ranger, the 95 movie, and season 3 of Mighty Morphin in that part. That's what you could probably expect in Henshin Time Part 10. Yeah, it was, in Masked Rider. I don't know. I don't know if it was in Masked Rider. It was definitely odd. It was definitely odd. It felt like they were trying a little too hard to be, I guess, to appeal, and I think it came across that way even to some kids. I think it came across as a little bit try hard. So. What is my opinion of Grandmaster Ranger? I know who Grandmaster Ranger is. I've heard about what's going on with him, but honestly, I mean, I know who he is. But he's not somebody that I would say we're friends on Facebook, but we're not really like, I don't know him like that. I don't know him like, I know him in passing, and I've heard some of the stuff that's going on with him. I don't really have much of an opinion on it because, I've heard things, but the thing is, I haven't talked to him myself about it. I haven't reached out to him directly. And truthfully, I don't know him like that. When I go on Facebook, I don't really socialize with many people on Facebook. I really use it more to check my pages, my Toy Bounty Hunters page, and that's about it. I don't really use it much to socialize. I mean, I do use Messenger, but I use it really to keep in touch mostly with the closest people within my circle. So I've heard about some of the things that are going on with them, but I really don't really have a comment because I just, don't really know him like that. So that would be my, I guess, if I have an opinion, I guess it would be that I don't really have an opinion. I don't really know. So. Fize is very dark. Fize, a lot of people argue what is, to me, it's between Fize and Kuga. Fize might be slightly darker than Kuga, but I would say Kuga is probably, I don't know, Kuga to me felt a little bit darker than Fize. All right, let's see. Black RX is not, it can't touch Black. Black is fantastic. Kamen Rider Black is a fantastic series. It's definitely a big departure from what was established in Black and what you, the way, the thing is too, is that Kotaro is like a completely different person in Black RX. He's much more happy-go-lucky. He's much more, they definitely toned him down a lot. He was much more brooding and in Black, and he always seemed much more troubled. And one could probably say, well, in Black RX, by then, he had already overcome what he did in Black, and he kind of got back to being his old, kind of happier self, maybe. But to me, that didn't seem too believable because in Black, he becomes a hardened warrior, you know what I mean, in Black. And, I'm not saying that he can't be a nice guy and have his happy-go-lucky moments, but they made him like a really big goofball in Black RX, and it felt like his character didn't evolve. It just felt more like his character de-evolved. His character was just his character regressed instead of progressed. So why hasn't Disney adapted? I don't know. I have no idea why they didn't adapt Japanese Spider-Man. I mean, for a while back in the day, you could actually watch the Japanese Spider-Man episodes on Marvel.com. You could actually stream all of them, but they took them off years ago for some reason. But they actually had every single episode available for streaming on the Marvel website. This was before, I believe. I don't know if it was around the time that Disney bought Marvel. If it was around the time that they bought it, or if they were available on there for streaming before then, but it's been a couple years now that they took them off. So I have not seen Kamen Rider X8. All I know is that it's based on it's more of a video game themed Kamen Rider. When is the PR MLP crossover? I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure they'll have one. At least in the comic books, maybe once if IDW ends up getting the license for the comics. Yeah, I think it's because nobody has licensed the right for the manga yet. No distributor over here has, at least. I have not played the Super Sentai mobile game. No. Yes, I do know about the complete selection modification line. I actually had some of the belts, but I don't have them anymore. The last one I had was the Kabuto sector, but I no longer have that. I don't know if Geo. I've been hearing things that Geo will be a shorter season, but I don't know for sure. I don't know that for a fact. About the Ghost Ranger mark, didn't hear about that, but it's news to me. Yeah, Dex was a corny character, but I think the reason why they chose a younger actor was, to appeal to a younger audience. Because if you look at Masked Rider compared to Power Rangers at the time, it definitely seemed like, right, seemingly, it was like it was targeted at an even younger demographic because of Furbus and things like that. So, I mean, for sure, Beetleborgs definitely felt that way too. The Flowery Kunoichi Squad was never. I have no idea why they excluded that. I couldn't even begin to imagine why. I didn't know about. Well, I know that Erin Cahill's been she's done a lot of like TV. She's done a lot of cameos, a lot of guest starring, and I know she guest starred in an episode of Supernatural as well, because I remember seeing her in that episode and a couple other things. Kamen Rider Shin. Kamen Rider Shin. I would love to see a kind of something newer done with that, like a newer Kamen Rider Shin movie. Shin Kamen Rider Prologue is a terrible movie. It is awful. It is an awful movie, but I like it. It's one of those. It's one of those. It's bad in a good way, but you just can't stop watching it. It has a decent soundtrack to it as well. Nah, I don't think they could ever. Well, Robert Zemeckis said years ago that he he hopes that that's a series that never gets a reboot. Is the Back to the Future movies? He doesn't believe that they need a remake. He thinks that they were just fine the way they are. So, and exactly who's going to play Marty McFly? I mean, come on, man, Michael J. Fox. Come on, Doc. Come on, Googity. Should American Toko make a comeback? It may. It may. I hope it does. I mean, because it'll, like I said, that's just going to help. That's going to help Toku overall. The more that it's exposed to a mass audience here in America, the more we'll have access to it. So, thoughts? I mean, Geo time traveling. I'm all for it. I hope he teams up with a lot of the writers. Yeah, I know about him wearing the jacket. That I do know about. TJ Roberts wearing the same jacket that Tetsuya Kurata wore for mixing with the stock footage. If you watch old Power Rangers episodes, they do the exact same thing with some of the characters. They'll have certain guest characters in the show wear a certain outfit to match, so they can match it with the stock footage. It's possible. It's possible that they could adapt Geo. But I would love I mean, I would love to see him adapt any Heisei Rider season, Favorite main writer final form. Wow, that's a good one. If I had to pick, man, I really like Kuga's ultimate form. I don't know. It's kind of plain, but I don't know. There's something I like about it. Just the whole black and gold was cool to me. They could remake Ichigo into the Darker Series. They tried already doing that though with a movie. They made a Kamen Rider movie, which wasn't all that great, but they definitely try to take that dark approach to appeal to an older audience with those movies, and they were kind of lackluster. So I don't know if that's something they'd be willing to revisit again. I don't know about back to the whole thing with Rick and Morty, because I don't really know a lot about Rick and Morty, to be honest. I've only seen maybe like one episode of it ever. My favorite Super Sentai show is Jetman. Kamen Rider Dragon Knight Japanese dub. What about it? Are you talking about when it was dubbed over? I mean, Oh, what is it called? I mean, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight was originally Kamen Rider Ryuki, which was the third, I believe. The third, or was it the third or fourth? It was either the third or fourth newer Heisei series, if I remember correct. Oh, the 541 song is probably of those. I always like that one. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here soon, guys. Just to let you guys know, I'm also going to be uploading on my other channel, which is John Miss Prime, if you guys want to check that one out. I'm going to try to be uploading there pretty regularly, some other content outside of just Power Rangers type of content. So if you guys want to check that out, let me go ahead and link it here in the description below so you guys check that one out. I appreciate it if you guys will subscribe to that channel as well as check out the videos that are already posted on there. I'm also going to be trying to post, because I'm heading out to a convention this weekend. I'll be heading out to Florida SuperCon. So for any of you that are going to be out there, be sure to come by and say hi. I'll be at the Ranger Stat booth. That's the one I always go to whenever I'm always with the Ranger Stat booth. So if you guys want to come out and visit there, let's see. Let me add this on here real quick for you guys. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Get a couple of the other, get your last bit of questions here. Have I ever seen any of the clips of the Japanese dub of MMPR? You mean Jew Ranger? Yes. Yes, I have. I have watched almost all of Jew Ranger. Thoughts on Emma? Oh, I didn't even know Emma Lahana was in Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. I'll have to check that out. Well, I do know that MMPR did get dubbed over in Japan. And what's funny about that is that Michiko Soga, who played Witch Bandora, she had to actually dub over. She had to dub herself over again for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in Japan. Kind of funny how that worked out. But all right, that's where I'm going to wrap it up, guys. Thanks so much for joining the stream. Like I said, I'll probably be trying to upload some videos here within the next couple of days on both the channels. So again, if you guys want to check out the other channel, John Miss Prime, go ahead and subscribe to that and check out the videos that are on there. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll make an announcement of when I will be doing another one of these live streams. Just follow me on social media to get those updates, if anything. So thanks again for joining me. Thanks for hanging out, asking questions, and we'll do it again soon. You guys take care.